Welcome to the Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richheimer. Thank you so much for being here today. We have an amazing show. Here's the deal. Last week, we talked about how to get your husband to listen to you, how to talk so your husband will listen, right? That was part one. This is part two. It's a very deep spiritual thing here, down from our Matura, 3,000 years, track record of success. You're going to learn it here today. Okay. So I just want to cover a little bit, a couple things. One is, last week I said something about sister-in-laws. I got emails from sister-in-laws saying, hey, wait a minute, I don't have a problem with my sister-in-law. So for all the sister-in-laws and mother-in-laws, so to speak, okay, for all of you, I apologize if I insulted anybody. I said something like, people who have sister-in-laws, it's often conflicted, it's often competition, it's often, whatever, and I didn't say two things. One is I didn't say sometimes it's not and you get lucky, but, there's that tension there, and I wanted to bring that to everybody. And I also didn't say something else, which I realized after the show, which is I don't have those issues. I have the best sister-in-law in the world. I have the best mother-in-law. I have the best mother-in-law on the planet. So I have bones, rest in peace. But anyway, she was unbelievable. So I've heard stories of these things. It's all from what is out there in the world. I just wanted to clarify that and to apologize to anybody, any sister-in-law that I'm with. I didn't. Okay, that was the first thing. The second thing is I wanted to review anybody who didn't see last week's show. It's a game changer for getting your husband to listen to you. We talked about HOT, H-O-T. H is how you're going to say it. O was for the outcome you're going for, and T was for timing. I did have one comment from a gentleman who said, if my wife said to me, if I said to my wife, wouldn't you agree, dear? Remember in the lessons we had? I said, okay, wouldn't you agree, dear? The husband would feel like, of course I'm going to say, of course I agree. I'm not going to turn around and not agree, but not that I'm going to be happy about it. I hear that. So for you women who want to use that methodology, we gave about 20 methods last week. So for that one, you might say, do you agree? You can disagree if you want, but I wouldn't, or just change your strategy altogether and say, would it be possible if X, Y, Z? Okay, for those of you who listened last week, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For the other people, go listen to last week's show. We're going to start this week with a story. Now, the title of the class is How to Talk So Your Husband Will Listen. And I want to tell you about my sweet named Mary. This is about maybe 8 or 9 years ago. She came to me and said, Leah, I had a very challenging childhood, a very traumatic childhood. My parents were divorced when I was a little girl. And not only that, to top it off, I was bullied through my teenage years. If it was not for summer camp, I don't know how I would be surviving. In summer camp, I was a little bit popular. I had friends. I had counselors. I had, people, the director of the camp and the nurse or something. I don't remember what she said. There were people there who really took an interest in taking care of me, and that really got me through. But I had all this post-traumatic stress disorder or baggage from my childhood, and I've talked to my husband about it many, many times, and I just feel like he doesn't get it. I feel like, at the time he kind of nods his head and listens, but after the fact, he doesn't seem to understand me or get me. You hear? So the issue with this is, what she said is, I just want my husband to listen to me. I want to feel heard. I want to feel good. So I said, listen here, I really hear what you're talking about. I get it. I hear the pain. I hear the loneliness. But I just have one crucial question to ask you. And that is, you're complaining that your husband doesn't listen to you. How much do you listen to your husband? There's like a dramatic pause. I said, well, I don't listen to him that much, but he doesn't say much. My husband's very quiet, and not only that, he has, it's like when I ask him what's new, nothing, how was your day, fine, he gives me just one word answer. If he talks, I would listen. So I spent the next 10 minutes teaching Mary how to be an active listener, and she says that was the turning point. The marriage was this way. That was the turning point of her marriage from there on. From then on, from there on, whatever. From that point forward, that was a turning point. When she learned how to listen to her husband. And we have a strong thesaurus for this, a strong tradition to this. I'm going to go over that very clearly. But here's the take-home message from today's class. How much and how deeply you listen to your husband can make all the difference, not only to how he listens to you, but also, more importantly, or as importantly, to the closeness in the marriage. And that's the whole gist of today. It's going to be extraordinary. When you start implementing these things, you will see a level of closeness and intimacy in your marriage you never have felt before. And it all comes from your listening. Okay. We're going to learn that today, okay? So the first question is, if this class is called How to Talk to your Husband and Listen, why am I going to teach you to listen so your husband will talk? Right? Good question. So the reason is because listening to your husband talk is the single number one way to get your husband to listen to you. So everything we covered last week about hot, very important, skills to learn, skills to practice, trial and error, try this, try that, make it all work. But the deep spiritual level comes from listening to your husband. Whether he talks or not, you're going to see, as you learn more about the listening skills, that a lot of the reasons our husband doesn't speak are things we can do something about. We can bring them out, and we're kind of meant to milk them out. As we know, all bracha comes from Shemayim. This is what Moshe Cordovero, all bracha comes from Shemayim, from God, through our husband and to us. And we milk that, giving that blessing into our lives. And this is done through, one of the major ways we do that is through listening. Okay. Just so you know, the more you listen to your husband, the closer you will get. And this is not I'm going to teach Leah's word for this. This is, I am going to try this at home and see whether what she says is right, what our Masorah says is right. And I'm going to go right for it, and I'm going to apologize in this, because I have 7 sources here. But the reason I'm going to read them all, I'll read them quickly so it won't, be too heavy-duty. But you have to know, this is not just airy-fairy things. This is a 3,000-year-old track record of success. And it'll give you strength when you're sitting there, listening to your husband, do I still have to live? Do I still have to? Okay, fine. Okay, Rav Aaron Lee Simon says, the essence of our power of speech is the strength to refrain from speaking. In the Sefer Rachel Kochman, it says, one who knows when to keep quiet when necessary becomes a conduit. How do you translate conduit? What's a conduit? Hello? Anybody? Conduit.
Like a channel.
Pipeline.
No, it's like pipeline. Okay. Who said pipeline?
Okay,
Yeah, beautiful.
A pipeline for Hashem's Shekhinah, for God's life. That's not how you translate Shekhinah. Presence, God's presence, female presence, to reside with them. The Vilna Gaon says that we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that in order that we should listen more than we speak. The Gemara tells us that 10 measures of speech came down to the world, and the woman was given 9 of them. Now, I always read that for 20 years and thinking, oh, good, I have permission to talk as much as I want, because I was given 9/10. So, as we say, the husband, if you use all of them, you have to lift it. So, let's use it up a little bit, but in actuality, what Hashem gave us is He gave us the wisdom of when to refrain from speaking. So we have 9 tenths of speech, but also the genius there, the wisdom to refrain from speaking. Okay. So forgive me because I'm going to say, I'm just quoting here. The Midrash explains, I would create women not from the mouth so that she should not be a debrada, which is a chatterbox. Okay, that's the source. I'm not calling you a chatterbox, not you, not you. We're not that, but he's saying you were created not from the mouth, you were created from the ribs, like me. Okay, in Derech Emunah, it says that since we say the harder it is, the more reward. A woman who is able to keep quiet when necessary and listen instead of talking, okay, will get more reward because it's that much harder for us to listen than it is. Last one, the Gemara states that if a woman listens to her husband, this is very powerful, ladies, you're listening up. If a woman listens to her husband, even when it is difficult for her to do so, she will merit having children who are Torah scholars. Doing very well and learning. Okay, those are our sources. You heard it here first, or maybe heard it before. But anyway, So the point is, those sources say listening is the way, that is how we connect deeply, that is where we're going with this stuff. And I'm going to teach you how to do it. So the tools of today are, you're doing listening lessons, there's 5 of them. But I first want to start, when you think of 2 people communicating with each other, right? You think about them on the, oh, by the way, if there's questions, if you have questions, type them in for Facebook. If you're a teleconference, press *6 or whatever. Write the comments below, and we will answer them on the spot live, okay? So let's get to communication. When you're thinking about communication, you are thinking about, you can visualize in your head 2 people communicating. You think of them on the couch, right? You think of 2 people chat. Can they see my hands just on camera? Yeah. 2 people just chatting away on the camera. I mean, not on the camera. Or maybe on the couch. 2 people chatting on the couch. That's what you think of when you think of communicating. Here's the trick. You want to be thinking about one person chatting and one person listening and one person chatting and the other person listening. You want to put listening into the So even if you're visualizing 2 people sitting there listening, that is a much better image than talking. Because where intimacy comes is from listening, not from talking. From both, but really think about, do you need some water or something? Yeah. There you go. Throwing the food. Oh my gosh, okay. You can drink it right from the bottle. It's okay. I didn't need any more water anyway. Anyway, okay. So that was what, that was the first thing, to shift your thinking about what communication is. Now, the obstacles to listening and listening are enormous. We have become a nation, a world of kind of chatterboxes, or of blasting it out. Like our whole thing is about sharing our opinions. We become a generation of shouters. We just shout. We just get it out there. Get it out there. We don't listen to what other people are saying, what the feedback is. And as listeners, our listening has been relegated to a thumbs up or a heart. We're just like, what's quick? We're not listening deeply. And so this is a big obstacle to us that we face now that we may never have faced before. So before I get started on the 5 tips, I want to answer the most important question that everybody thinks of when it comes up, which is, Leah, okay, dear listener, I heard all the sources, okay, I'm going to work on this, but what's in it for me? Leah, tell me, what is in this for me? Okay. So I want to start with a story. I want to tell you a story. One of my students did the homework. I hope the whole thing is so it doesn't go down because there are engineers that spot that. One of my students many years ago, I used to be giving this exercise a lot, said listen to her husband, and she said, oh, yeah. And she's a very good student, so she did all the homework. And just all right, I really have to go through this listening homework, but I'm listening. So her husband is sitting on the couch, and she's like, oh, it's probably a good time for me to do the listening homework. So she goes to sit down next to him. She asks about his job and his work and whatever, and he's talking about it. The guy ended up talking for 90 minutes about his accountant. Okay? So he said, hello. So she said all about all the politics and this one and that one, and then this new staff came on and how that affected the dynamics in the office, and she said it was so boring. She was like right in the inside of her teeth was saying it. Okay, it was like miserable. But she still did it, and actually, there were parts that were interesting. She tried to play journalist, which is as Chris we're going to learn in a little bit. She tried to play journalist and get more out and, talk to him more and whatever. But the end of it, she said, it ended, and she's like, she had like 5 emails that she had to get to, and this is one of her kids had a science project, and her head was like, she's like, ugh! But she did it, okay? And at the end of it, she's like, Leah told me that I'd have intimacy, and I'd have closeness, and I'd have whatever. I don't feel any of those things. I feel like, okay, I just wasted an hour and a half. No, she wasn't down on it, but she wasn't up on it either. Okay. So she goes back in the kitchen, and they had been to Costco. I don't know if they were Costco. Anyway, they went to go buy they had these cases of water bottles that were sitting by the counter. That she'd been telling her husband, please move to the garage. Please, can you get them out of here? And whatever, she's been sitting over them for 10 days. Here it was. He came back after listening to him, and the water bottle had been given to him. Not only that, here, I have to just change this before. I was going to say a paper towel. We had changed the paper towel roll. So it was the paper towel roll. Wink, wink, wink. It really was a roll from a different room, but I'm not going to say it on live air here. But he changed, these are out, real true story. He changed the roll. Are you guys getting what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, fine. But he did that. That was right after her listening to him for 19 years. So the reason I'm telling you the story is it may seem like a lot of work on your part. The payoff is faster. Just watch yourself by listening to your husband. Okay, now we're going to go right to the 5 steps. Everybody ready? Yeah? Okay, tip number 1 is called virtual duct tape. And we have the show and tell you. Okay. I like it. Very nice. She thought this was good. Okay, first you have to find the end. Here's virtual duct tape. What are you supposed to say? Okay. But I can't find it. Not more money. And it's easier to open. Okay, so here's what you're doing. Is it okay to do? We're better with that tablecloth. Yeah, okay, very good. Okay. Here's virtual duct tape. You put this over your mouth. Now, you don't really need to use duct tape.
Right, I think I would use it.
You would use it. But they do that. People are making wallets out of them and prisoners. That kind of thing. That was
no, they still do them. Yeah.
And those duct tape purses or whatever, you get pink, you can get black, whatever you want, and mix and match. Yeah. So you get the virtual duct tape, you put it duct tape, you put it over your mouth. And what you do, here's how it works. When your husband's talking and you're going to think, and you're asking your husband something, and you're finishing your sentences, and you're saying, no, it wasn't Wednesday, it was Tuesday, and you are just throwing in your 2 cents. It's like somebody walking in, an alien landed from another planet and landed at your table and was listening, like, who's talking? What's going on? Who's talking? They wouldn't be able to tell who's talking because he's talking and you're interrupting so much. Okay? I've heard other people do this. I don't know how to do it. Anyway, okay, so fine. This is when you use the book for the okay. So silence, like not a sound coming out of your mouth. This is so powerful to get your husband to talk. The reason our husband wouldn't say, my husband doesn't share anything, he doesn't talk, he doesn't open his mouth, whatever. The reason is maybe 75% of the reason, okay, I'll say 50% of the reason, but really 75% of the reason is because you're so busy talking, he just can't get it in. And you're like, so he likes to hear what I have to say. I'm telling you right now, you want to bond closer with your husband, you want intimacy, that's it. Okay. Now, there is nothing, so that part of this duct tape is not interrupting, because there is nothing that tells your husband more that you don't care what he's saying than interrupting him. I had one woman who said, the Susan woman in the South Africa, she was in class for years, and she said, all the big transition things that want in my life? I said, yeah. She said, stop interrupting my husband. I said, really? What do you think? She said, it never dawned on me. We're TV, whatever he says, this iPod type in, and I'm typing in all the time with a better idea of how to put the leftovers back in the fridge, with an idea of how to, I'm always typing in my 2 cents. Like the whole time I realized in the kitchen, I'm talking. When he starts talking, I interrupt him to tell him what I think, to give him my opinion. So, she said, when I stopped interrupting him, he started saying, he started getting safe in him. Our relationship was never the same. What's just that one thing, though? I think there's lots of you, but that one thing, I didn't even notice the habit until you pointed out. Some people have this habit, and I see that is unique. Okay. When you cut your husband off, there's nothing more powerful than sharing with them. So, here's another one. When your children when you're having a conversation with your husband and your children try to interrupt, don't let them. Excuse me, we're having a conversation. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Wait. That's a kind of important one. This is kind of hard because, let me just see if I can say this in a nice way. So when you're talking to your husband and you're going, circle diarrhea, whatever, you're going on and on and on. And you're going on and on and on. You have to ask yourself, are you talking to me? Am I like one of these people, there was this t-shirt and it said, oh, I'm talking and I can't shut up. Do I need to put that shirt on right now? Like, is that me? Am I just babbling on and on and on? And when you do, duct tape, virtual duct tape. If you roll, you maybe this is F if you can't see F1 is in virtual duct tape your mouth because, and first of all, you're not asking, oh, am I talking too much? Because here's what he has to say. He has to say no, and now he's lied. And now it's even more awkward, and there's less closeness because he's kind of living on a lie. Don't ask. Ask yourself, am I talking to you? Okay, those are the pictures. That one is called.
So you have a woman who asks and says questions saying that that's fine, but if her husband, when she does try to ask him to talk, he tells her that he basically gives one-word answers, and then he'll say to her that I really like when you talk. I just want to listen. And he's just not a talker. So when she's talking, that's kind of, even when their relationship when they were dating, she's doing a lot of the talking and she thought her dad noticed, but it seems that might be his personality, that he sort of just likes to listen. And when she talks to him, when she asks him questions, he's a one-word answer.
Right, okay. Okay, so,
she's asking, is that fact that she's kind of having,
here's
not like she's seen
here's the thing, it's not necessarily that it's bad, but I would bet you that there's like an 80% chance that if given the opportunity to talk more, he would. And so I hear that he says that, oh, no, I like you to talk. If you explore deeper, did in the first part of your marriage or, when he was talking, you were correcting him and judging him and, answering him, saying, oh, yeah, well, that's not really the way it was, whatever. And you were correcting him so much that he just thinks, you know what, I'm just going to get my lip because it's not working. So I don't know that that's the case with you, but I would definitely, if I were you, explore that, because if that is the case, then you got some remedial work to do on yourself to repair the damage that you might have caused. It also could be that, in other words, if you explore all these things and it turns out, the end result is, it's true. He wants to just hear me and he just wants to listen and that's the way it is, okay, fine. But if you explore these issues and there's even a little flavor in you that, maybe it's true. Maybe I do just barrel into what I'm saying without really considering what he has to say about it. And maybe when he talks, I judge him. Or maybe when I ask him how you're doing and he says fine, and I just move on, rather than saying, really? What else is going on? Maybe I'm such a bad listener that he told me this morning he's really, really nervous because he's got a big meeting with his boss and he doesn't know what he's going to say and a lot rides on it and the next big project that he wants he may be given to somebody else. Maybe he told me that this morning. And now he comes home from work, and I'm babbling about, the fact that my car broke down and the kid is having trouble, and the dishwasher doesn't work, whatever, typical real problems, real things that we have a right to share. But you understand, how do you feel about that? Or, even better, I don't know if you're in the mood to talk about it. I'm really anxious to hear what happened to your boss. If you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But maybe you didn't listen well enough, and that caused him to just get one more answer. I don't know. It's worth explaining. That's all I'm saying. Because there's a special closeness that is available to us in this world. You'll see it. You'll see it. Just like the lady that's moving the Costco things. I mean, that's kind of a joke and sweet that happened and that she had such a cute result. But the real thing is that she will witness over time, and the more she does that, and then she when she that was a funny voice. My husband was funny. Actually, my family was funny, but the way I see. Anyway, it doesn't sound like fake.
It does. Those old movies of those little, perfect Stepford wife women that they want to really sneeze.
I tried to.
You're just the perfect wife in every way.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Yeah, there we go. Okay, you get my husband on the line, see if he says, no, better.
He will. You don't just say. Or is it WTF?
No, best way ever.
BW. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he gets so expensive. By the way, I did something, and like I thought of something and ordered it for my daughter or whatever and sent it to her, and so she sends a thanks, Mom, and I'm like, hello, BME, best mother ever. And she goes, oops, BME, like, come on. I'm like, okay, we have to get this issue. So what you deserve. Okay, so we're going to go finish now. Okay, so before I speak, what was I going to say? Does anybody have any recollection?
That it may not be like a Costco woman, but that just that closeness.
The closeness you'll see when a husband shares himself and what's going on with him. You'll see. Okay, let's go and think. Okay, ask the question. This is the most important one. Whenever you're in doubt and you don't know what to say, and like you suddenly realize, help, I'm talking, I can't shut up. Am I that person who realizes, oh my gosh, I've been talking for a half an hour straight, 10 minutes straight, or whatever. He hasn't said anything. But what do I do now? Your go-to response, ask a question. It's the most fantastic listening skill in the world. And if he gives you a one-word answer, ask him another question. How did you go to the boss today with that meeting? Fine. Did he say anything of interest? Is there, something you want to share with me? No. Did he say something of interest? No. Was there any outcome of it? No. Just keep asking. Keep going. Okay. When you're about to interrupt your husband, you just lean point and say, well, that's just like what happened to me when, and you realize mid-sentence that you're about to launch into a whole big tirade when you're in the process, right in the middle of listening to him, and he's actually talking, and now you're diving in. So you say, oh, that's just like what happened to me. So tell me again, change into a question. Tell me again what happened? I didn't understand what you said. Can you reiterate that? Can you repeat that? Can you say it again? It didn't really sink in. I didn't get the point you were making like that. So the asking a question can be used to start the conversation, in the middle of a conversation, in the middle of your talking. You'll realize you're going down a tunnel. He's not going to say, oh, wait a minute, go back to what you were going to say. I don't want to hear what I have to say, but I want to hear what you were just saying. My wife telling me something, somebody wants to know what I have to say. My wife wants to know my deeper innermost thoughts. Oh, okay. You'll see. He's not going to confess to it. Unless he does say, okay, tell me yours first. Okay. Confirmation. Here, when you're asking questions, you want to learn precisely what your husband needs to hear to feel like you've heard him. Okay? So when you're talking, things like, oh, I got it. Then you just, oh, he listened to me. He understood what I said. Repeating back to him. Like if he says, I was, are we ever going to get the lawn fixed? Or are you ever going to get a new, that book that's all rotten? Can you buy a new one? Were you ever going to do that, whatever it is? And you say, oh, so you'd like me to get a new lawn? Or you'd like me to get the book replaced? Or whatever it is. The more dependable, by the way, this is kind of a side issue having nothing to do with listening and communicating, but I wanted to just make this point. The more dependable your husband can depend on you, the more serenity in the end. That was a quote I read actually while I was doing my sourcing and looking at my sources. I came up with that in my worry. Anyway, okay, but let's get back to this. So there's offering solutions to his issues. Let's find out what he needs from you. What words can you say that have him feel that he is heard? Like, I got it. Oh, I heard you. Ooh, that must have been tough. Validate what you can say. I understand what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. That must have made you feel frustrated. That must have made you feel sad. Ooh, if that happened to me, I don't know what I would do. Figure out. Each husband is different. Each time is different. Figure out what your husband needs to hear from you to prove to himself and to you to what he knows that he has been listening. Repeat back what he's saying. Return him. So what you're saying is it upsets you that when you come home every day, there's toys all over the front floor. Okay, I hear that. I'm going to try and work on that. I don't maybe guarantee because I'm in the back in the kitchen, but I will really try. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Got it? Questions? Yeah.
I think my husband will just have a heart attack if I start doing all that.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Because his typical thing is when he starts talking to me, and I usually have something to say or some way to show him that maybe you could have done it differently. He's all like, I think I come to talk to you so you could just tell me how terribly I did it, and just so you give me a hard time. We're going to try this. I think there's the Duct. I think we're going to need a borrow. I think I need a borrow.
You know what you get? We should get special ladies talk show Duct.
I'm really going to do it, by the way. I'm really going to, when you start talking, you say, hold on a second, and I'm going to put it on my mouth, and I say, I promise you I'm not going to answer or say anything while you talk. Yeah, I think he's just going to win.
But real actual Duct?
Yes, for him to really see that I think he needs to see such a drastic, like, I don't think he'll believe when I start doing like,
not in your head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh, I hear that. He'd be like, who are you and where'd you put my life?
Wow.
If I sit there and say, I really can't hold back something, you can see my mouth. And if you hear muffled sounds underneath, it's me going to it. There's all the things I want to say that I'm not saying.
Okay, what color do you want?
Black and white.
Okay, very cute. Okay, all right. Well, I'll keep you posted. I need to mull that one over because we've never come up before. I'm just trying to think. I mean, I can imagine with your husband it actually could work.
Yes.
He's young and he would like get it and support you.
Yeah, I think he would realize that.
But you're not afraid like the next day he'll say, "Where's the Duct?"
No, yeah, right. If I walk into the room and start saying, he's like, I need to talk to you, honey.
Daddy, like in my screen. Okay,
we're gonna try that. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, keep it posted. All right. Okay,
let's
watch the cat.
Like, okay, then stop it. Listening.
Okay, number 3. Okay, this one is a beauty. So what was number 2? Do we remember? Our secret weapon is asking a question. Yes. That wherever you are in your life, if you want to use your listening skills and get closer to somebody, ask a question. Number 3, be the listening police. Okay, so what does that mean? That means if your husband's talking and you're and one of the kids starts interrupting, you turn to them and you can say it kindly if you want, and you can see it. No, you don't scream. So you might let Daddy finish. Let Daddy finish what he's going to say. He's in the middle of saying something. You be the listening police. Can you imagine how powerful that makes your husband feel? How strong it makes him feel? How cared for? How loved? Let Daddy finish. So there's one thing you have to know. I have women come to me all the time and say, I wish my husband would learn more. I at night and the day, whatever. I wish to put more time in. You have one powerful way to do that, and that is to be with each other's perfect moment. So that means singing. Receive. How to receive good speaking. So when your husband is giving over any warfare, any wisdom, anything that you say that is precious and precious, your job on Shabbos morning when you're at the table and you're giving him the wisdom, you could be doing one of two things. Either sitting there listening attentively to every word that comes out of his mouth, or secondly, evacuating the house because it is on fire. There is nothing else that you should be doing besides what you do. When your husband is giving over his Torah and you are receiving it, it is the most powerful means of listening that you ever do in the world. And if you don't do that, and you're trying something to, and you're in your kitchen, you're clinking dishes, or you're doing whatever, it's saying, remember one way to get the husband to learn that is to receive more of his Torah. And that's the primary place to do it. So in this one of being the listening to we're looking at being the person who is so careful with every word that comes out of their husband's mouth. So when, if he's talking and something else interrupts him or whatever, and you say, oh, wait, you were just saying blah, 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 blah. He's talking to you, and he gets a text, and he goes back, and you were saying about how the freeway was closed down at the 10, and you were trying to get off the exit. Like, oh, yeah, thank you. You're listening to him in the most powerful, real, important way. How do you think that makes you feel? How does it make you feel? That woman said to me, oh, but he checks his messages. I don't check my messages. I hear, I don't know, this is physical battle, and it's right, it's not right, it's good, it's bad, it's not fair, all of that. What I'm telling you is if you turn your phone off when he's listening and don't listen to texting him, that's your highest chance of getting him to reciprocate. He still may never do so. You may not, and you may do it less, but it's your best chance, and it's the right thing to do, trust me, even if he's not doing it.
Yeah. So you think that's the answer someone who asks, when they're trying to speak to their husband, if a text comes in, her response is that they look down and get distracted, and she knows that he's not listening to her anymore, and she makes it such a point to not do that when she's with him.
Good for her. Good for you.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work. You're getting booked into mine, even if you don't.
Even if he doesn't do it.
Yeah, and
So she's saying that she actually does make a big deal about it with him. Like, get off your phone, I'm talking to you, shut your phone. And so that's not what
that's
she should do.
Well, no. Okay, so that's a good question. A woman who, you have to pick your battles, right? You can't have everything, because that's just not the way the world works, and that's not the way our husband works. So it's not, you have to pick your battles. If that is one of the things that is, one of the top 3 or 4 things you want to accomplish in your relationship with your husband at the moment, it's every year you should have a few things that you want to accomplish or whatever. And if this is one of the most important things of the year that you want to work on, then I'll tell you in a second how to do it. If it's not, drop it. Just do your best. You be the good person, and don't text while you're talking to him, and just hope for the best. But if it is one of your number 1 things, and you want to fight that battle, which means that the battle you're going to have with him not, putting you down in front of your mother-in-law, or the battle you wanted to have about which summer vacation you want to stay with, or the battle you wanted to have about, moving your apartment to a different apartment. Whatever it is, you have to choose which ones are your priorities. You're not going to get all of them. If this turns out to be one of the most important things to you that he pays attention every time or some of the time when you're talking to him, okay, I hear that, and then that's what you do is you sit down and talk to him and say, listen, of all the things that are most important to me, I found that this is nearest and dearest to my heart. Can we do a trial period where, maybe we put a timer, we talk for 10 minutes, no checking phones, and when the dinger dings, you can set your phone, and then you put in another 10 minutes, and that way I at least know I've got 10 solid minutes. Something like that. You have to work out creatively how to solve it. So you need to communicate it to your husband in such a way that you get followed. So, did that answer?
Yes.
Good. Yeah. Okay. The listening tools. We're on the listening to these. A lot of times, so you're basically, telling him, let Daddy finish. You're letting him finish. When he forgets what he can say, you remind him. You are the listening tools to lure the milk out of him, the bracha, the blessing, the listening, the talking, so that he talks more. Your whole focus is on getting him to share more of himself with you. So in that, a lot of times women and men also that are planning, rather than talking to the person about what is, listening to what they're saying, they're busy planning what they're going to say. Okay? And I have women saying, okay, I hear that. I should be listening better and not planning what I'm saying next. I'm Leah. I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. I thought it's something important, and I'm going to forget it if I don't barge in and say it. Or unless I keep reminding myself of it as he's talking. So here's just a question that I want to ask you. What is more important? Having your husband, the most important person in your entire life, feel fully heard and gotten, or the comment you're going to make about who you're going to have to Shabbos that week as a guest, or what kind of a car you want to buy, or whatever it is that is rattling around in your head, you are saying that is more important to you than your husband. If you forget what you're going to say and never remember it forever, think of it like God took it away you did the right thing, and if you never said it, it wasn't meant to be said. But it is hard. This is a habit all of us have, and it's very hard to get over that. So I totally get that. But maybe just by starting to have inroads into understanding the cost of having that rattle around in your head, and the cost of having its closeness to your husband. By thinking about what you want to say as more important than your husband, you're losing yourself. You're not listening as well. You're not there for him as well. You're kind of like over here, kind of waiting for him to hurry up and finish so you can get the point across. The wrong thing for what you ultimately, in the moment you want to get there, what you want to say. But in the long run, you really not giving yourself and saying exactly right now, exactly right. And that is to let it go. If it was that great a thing to say, it'll come back to you. Or, if you want, have an index card with you. Is that what you're going to say?
No, I was actually going to say that
let me explain the index card.
Yes.
Write it down. If you feel like all that happens to you constantly when you're talking to your husband, have a little index card. And when somebody else in your head, make a little keynote. Don't forget the dishes to talk to him about that. And don't forget, whatever.
They're not while you're talking to you, right?
Yeah, while I'm talking to you. I'm just making notes so I don't forget. Not writing the whole sentence. You write the word dishes to remind you to say, okay, what were you
Now, I was going to say that I'm holding you to all this that you're saying about that if you let something go and because you're bringing in the closeness, God's going to bring blessings and all that, because I had exactly that happen the other day when, I do the intermediate fasting. So I don't eat past 6 o'clock. And my husband had made a soup. And it was only ready at about 9 o'clock. And he comes into, I was working in the office, and he comes in and he says, I really want you to try my soup. And I said, I really want to try your soup, but I can't eat anymore. I stopped at 6.
Yeah,
and if I start eating at 9, if I start now eating at 9, I won't be able to eat till 1:30 tomorrow, and that's a really long time. And he's like, I really want you to try the soup. And I'm like, that I want to. I'm going to do it, try tomorrow. So it's not going to be the same. And he walked out. And I'm sitting there thinking, and literally the voices in my head. And it's going, if you're intermediate fasting because you want to control your weight and you think God can't do that for you, He can't make it that you won't gain anything from whatever you do. And even if you eat tomorrow at your normal time, you'll be fine. Like, all these things are running. And I got up from where I was, and I walked into him, and I said, I really want to try the soup. And he went, you sure? Because I said, no, you made the soup, and I really want to try it. And I'm literally thinking, I'm not going to pay the price because Leah said that I'm bringing it. And he did. He served me a cup of soup, and it was delicious. And he goes, well, listen, if you're now not going to eat till 1, because you're eating now, then you really have to eat properly, not just a little cup. And he poured me like 3 more cups, and we sat, and I was eating and telling me how good it was, and we were talking, and he made me really eat I should have a full sort of meal, even though he kept saying to me, soup really doesn't count, it's like water,
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I ate it, and I was really thinking about that afterwards, and the next day I did. I waited till 1:30 eat, because that was my fasting period, but I kept thinking, regardless, even if I would have eaten earlier, I felt as though if I'm bringing connection and if I'm putting my husband first,
I don't care you.
Exactly. Meaning that thought that I want to say, let it go. Yeah. So
that's a triumph. Now, a couple of things. One is,
so does that make up for the fact that I don't let him speak?
Oh, yeah. So here's the question: could you have just said, okay, I'll take 1 sip, because I don't intermediate fast. There are some people who say that under 50 calories is good.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't even know that. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that's really true.
Well, I'm hoping, if everything is, I'm basing it on you here. So.
No, the other thing is true.
Yeah.
But first of all, also, there's some people who say 14 hours. You're doing 16.
Yes, 16.
Some people say 14. And also, the other thing is, you don't, at the Shabbos or something like that, you can move it around. If you could 6 out of 7 days,
then you're
would be good.
Okay. So, just like, me, I need to stay very focused.
You're very black and white.
Yeah, very black and white.
Very much like me,
Exactly.
which is fantastic. I think it makes it much stronger in being able to not, French
yeah.
French fries, whatever it is, so it's like better to not have anything French fries.
Exactly.
Yeah, so totally there with you there. But, so first of all, I definitely think, God do anything.
Right.
obviously, you know. So in that sense, it would have either been one little spoonful might have solved it, and him was so sweet though that he had really time to get it even.
It was, and I'm just saying that she really was. Like, it wasn't just him giving me a little sip and me saying, "Oh, it's really yummy," and continuing on my work.
It became more
It became, yeah,
and
it became a closeness. A closeness, yeah. We sat down and we talking for a minute. And it was all yours, you in my head.
In your head. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, the thing is with being the police and having it in your head, whatever, is you just know blessing is going to come down. Okay, we have only 2 minutes, and I want to finish this. Okay. So that was the listening police. Let me see. Put yourself in his shoes. Remember, if you're upset about, if he's upset, whatever his emotions are, put yourself in his shoes. Try to be this one. Really be. Okay. Oh wow, I still have a bunch together. So listening means not rolling your eyes. I know what he's going to say. It means taking the time to really let him have to say. Here's some things. Are you sure you said everything? Do you have anything more to add to what you're saying? Are there more points that you haven't mentioned to me that are pertinent in the conversation? Dig it out. Make eye contact if you can. No body language or talk like this, whatever. Try and have open arms, open body language, facing. Don't be like that, like this. Try and have good body language, good body posture. If it's a particularly emotional topic, sometimes it's very hard for men to have eye-to-eye contact. So in that situation, go for a walk where you're both walking in the same direction. You can kind of look over every once in a while, but you can talk about really deep, challenging, trauma, difficulties, emotional challenges without it being so glaring in your face. That's a walking. So these are just some tools and tips in terms of how to listen to that. Okay, let's go on to the number 4, which is to be a journalist. So I have women and they tell me, the way I hear what's going on with my husband, I'll be at a dinner, we'll be with somebody else, when do you think you're going to retire? And they say, well, I was thinking about 3 years, and, maybe it depends on after I get, my practice is this or whatever. Or, somebody will ask, what, are you guys planning a summer vacation? Oh, yeah, we were thinking of going maybe to Israel this summer. And the wife is always like, huh? Who are you? Right. Who are you? What? She said, when you tell, and this is very common, I learn more from what my husband tells other people than what he tells me. And they say it angrily, like their husband's to blame. I mean, maybe he is. But I'm telling you right now, as we always say, there's always something that we can do. Always something. And that's the whole premise of our lives, is that, we're not victims to whatever the circumstances are. So if you're one of the women who you learn more from what your husband tells other people than what he tells you got some work to do. Now, could they all fail? Could it be you'll try all of the texts and techniques you learned this far in this class and none of them work? That could happen. I'm sorry about that. Maybe send me an email and I'll give you personal advice or whatever. But I doubt if you use every one of the tactics that we've learned thus far that you won't have some advice. Okay. I'll lay about it in the 10 minutes because we started at 11 o'clock. We started 5 minutes later. Okay. Yeah, because I saw you starting to like go really fast. I have like 9 minutes worth of stuff. Yes. Okay, fine. That's good. Okay. So this one was be a journalist. Tip number 4 is be a journalist. So interview your husband. Pretend that you are writing an article on him and you need to know everything about him, about whatever he's talking about, whatever topic you talk about, like work, okay? So you want to, you told me last week that you guys started, how's it working out? And you don't understand about how this is about bonding. This is not about informational stuff that is going to be useful for your life in any way. It's about connection. It's about staying good with it. It's about him feeling like you're sharing his life with him. Okay? So you ask the question as if you're going to be tested later in the service. Okay? As if this is your math test, and you have to know what happened in the office, and when did that person start, and when did I've been practicing this for some time. I don't think I started this way, but And, so someone asked a question, and my husband answered, and then I chimed in, and I said, oh, but also the other staff member who did this. And then somebody else asked another question, and I chimed in, and they said, you work in his office? And I took that as such a compliment. I said, no, I didn't. And she's like, oh, wow. But you know what I'm saying? They thought I worked in his office because I knew all the players and all the people, and not that I always knew every little detail, and not that I'm perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Get that perfectly clear. Even if
no, you are. In my little bubble in my head, you are. You're like a good angel.
I don't know, whatever. But anyways, I'm saying that, having that level of interest gives a certain esteem to the husband that he can't get from any other time. Okay, let's see. Say some of those interviewers. I guess the last thing on that point is that there's a gold mine there. A lot of husbands, have a lot of stuff going on. Their businesses are fascinating, their projects are fascinating, their, there's a lot going on. There's a gold mine, you become a journalist. Okay. Last part of this is to make a positive experience. If the entire time you're listening to your husband, you're criticizing and commenting and judging and telling him how you should do things, do not go there, do not pass go, do not plus $200, does not work. Okay? So you've got to be, you got to do it in a way that is a positive experience. Okay, last one. Number 5, have a listening plan. So plan ahead to make your listening time comfortable for you. Don't plan a listening time when the kids walk in the gate from school. Don't plan a listening time when you're going to be frazzled. Friday night, you're exhausted. You do, the whole weekend, and planning the meal and everything. Plan it for when it works for you. And wait for Shabbos afternoon, maybe after you get a nap, or maybe when, on Sunday mornings, the kids are busy or occupied, or you're taking the park, let them play on the swings while you sit on the benches. I don't know. But plan your listening. Not just you talking about what you need to tell them, you get this off your system. Sometimes we need to tell our husband. And sometimes things don't feel like they happened until we've communicated them fully to our husband. This really annoying, aggravating thing happens, and it kind of sits with us. Then we give it over to our husband, and as our sources say, a problem shared is a problem halved. So when you share it with your husband, it's halved. So it's 60. You feel like desperately. So now you have 10 minutes, you've got to run to meeting, you've got to go somewhere, you've got a meeting, you've got somewhere to go, right? You've got 10 minutes, what do you do? You talk as you listen. It's a challenge. So you have to weigh that up. You have to weigh up, listen, I talked for the last 3 nights, I've been the monopoly of most conversations. I'm going to listen, even though I have this burning thing that is so aggravating that I want to tell them, I'm just going to spend this time, even though the other thing is wrong. These are decisions. Again, plan in your head. Turn your cell phones off, even if he doesn't do the same thing as we talked about. Structure your life so that there's no doorbells, no interference, no interruptions, no kids coming in. Clear your mind. Take listening to your husband very seriously. Make it like one of the main projects and powerfully important things in life. Don't be in a rush when you're listening to him. There's nothing more aggravating than trying to say something and somebody who's like running out the door halfway there, or sort of halfway standing like, but like have the arms in here like they're going to leave any second. There's nothing you could be doing that's more aggravating. Okay, and then, okay, here's one of the things I want to tell you that happens. That when you are listening to your husband, what's the one we're on now?
Number 5 or 6.
Yeah, have a listening to him. Okay, 5. It's only 5. So is that when I've given this as homework for the last 6 or 7 years, and when I give this homework to women, I guess 7 years. So I give this homework to women, they say that when they first start doing this, their husband talks for like hours. Like he's got to unload years of pent-up needing to talk and needing to share. And I get it. And that probably will happen to you if you start listening a little bit, is that your husband will just pour out. It does lessen over time, but it might take 2 or 3 months of him just, he's never had that kind of listening attention from you before. And the minute he gets it, he will take advantage of it. And it'll be very frustrating with a dog. If a bird is creating closeness, I don't care. I have had enough, But I'm telling you right now that over time, after the first few months, it will rest and it'll continue to grow into the world. Even out. It'll even out. It'll kind of, it'll get a lot of the past bottled up, needing to be listened to out, and then say, okay, so this one takes good heads up. It does show, however, that husbands have a chance to get one men do have this tendency. Okay. Sit still while he's talking to you, like you're trying to soak up everything he's saying. Listen to him with a full heart will engender in your husband the desire to give you and the willingness to give in every way. So as he's talking and sharing with you, he will grow a desire to give you. So the last point in this is don't expect lightning bolts of wisdom to come out of your husband's mouth. Okay, so when you're listening to him, you think, he told me a story, he's told me 4 times. He repeated himself. What he said was dumb. He was going on and on about how this car is so great. And I know, I read the consumer reports, that car is so great. Like, it was just a really frustrating, annoying thing. That's not the point. It's not what he's saying, it's that you're listening. That's just important. Doesn't matter what goes on, doesn't matter what he says, it's that you're listening, you're sitting still, and you're trying to observe. And you're asking the question to thought on more so that he's talking to you. Those are the 5 steps. What we're trying to do is to gain mastery over the art of listening to feel close to command. That's the whole point of this. Some of the ideas I gave you will work all the time. You go, oh my gosh, this is fantastic! You can work that thing, whatever, Some of them will be fantastic. Some of them won't work at all. Some of them will work sometimes and not other times. This is a trial and error experience. Okay? You will try this. In the process of trying all these things, sometimes you'll have awkward moments, sometimes it'll be beautiful, sometimes it won't, sometimes it'll feel like a waste of time, but the overall picture is that you're going to get this. Okay. Don't throw out an idea if you try it and it fails. Just try it again. You know what I mean? Don't be so quick to think, oh, that never worked. It might work a different time. Just keep trying. Okay. So the latest secret of the day, we're going to wrap it up now, is listening is our secret weapon to draw our husband close to us. And the homework for the week is one time this week, make listening to your husband a priority and to use virtual Duct as your listening.
Or real and not just.
Or real in Terry's case. Okay, that is the how to talk so your husband will listen, how to listen so your husband will talk, designed for closely. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Leah Richheimer for the Ladies Talk Show. See you next week.